Well, hello, friends. I'm Randy Eager with our new company, Strategic Storm Internet Marketing. We build and market your website strategies so that you don't have to. Welcome to our webinar, 8 Tips to Driving Prospects to Your Website. In this webinar, we'll be learning the 8 tips that you'll need to know to increase your website rankings in the major search engines, especially Google. If you haven't had a chance to get the link to the handout, you can go to www.strategicstorm.com/handouts/SEO fund.pdf. So let's get started this way. Tip number 1. First of all, talking about your target audience. Who are they? You can't even build your website unless you first know whom you're building it for. While the answer is buyers and sellers, the correct answer is primarily buyers. Why? Because they start off the transaction. Now, if you were a buyer and were relocating to a different state or even to a different neighborhood, what information would you want to know about that area? Think like a buyer would think. NAR tells us that the number one thing that buyers are looking for from agents on their websites is search the MLS. And then they want to know about the various communities and their benefits. By doing this little exercise, you'll know some of the keyword phrases that they'll be searching for. First of all, let's take a look at the 2 ways that you can get found on the major search engines. The first way that we're going to highlight here is the sponsored links or pay-per-click. These are the listings that are an auction situation where basically the more you pay per click, the higher you get to be on the list. If you want to be on the first page with a highly competitive keyword phrase, you could be easily spending thousands of dollars each month. That's not my idea of fun. For example, these links up here are tremendously expensive as there is so much visibility. These links on the right-hand side, while not quite as expensive, are still a mandatory budgeted amount. What do I mean by expensive? Well, as of yesterday, the cost of this particular keyword phrase for pay-per-click was $3.28 per click. And that only guaranteed you the first page placement somewhere. The daily cost of Sacramento real estate is $220.82 every single day. Can you see why Google asks for your monthly budget before they even ask anything else? Now let's take a look at what we'll be talking about today, which is that area below the sponsored links on the left-hand side. This area is called the natural rankings, the organic rankings, or the SEO rankings. The difference between the natural rankings and the sponsored links is that, first of all, there are many more people who prefer to search these listings. In addition, if you know what you're doing, it costs nothing to be there. Our company, Strategic Storm, has achieved the top 4 ranking positions in Google for several keyword phrases out of over 30 million competitors. And we're going to show you an example of this later on for both what we have done as well as what we've done for other agents and how dramatic the impact can be. And how much did it cost us? Nothing. A great deal of our business, like yours will be, is derived from people finding our website on the search engines. So let's turn now to keyword phrases. What is a keyword phrase and what makes an effective keyword phrase? In this section, we're going to answer one key question: why keyword phrases are so important. With good keyword phrases, you can get to the top of the heap. With poor keyword phrases, you may never be seen. Now, while there are several ways to explain what keyword phrases are, I like to explain it this way. Let's say that John is notified of a pending transfer. What is the next most likely thing to happen? John will be notifying his family of the pending transfer. And now, whether this is just a cross-town move or a cross-country move, what questions do you think that his family will have? Do you think his family will have questions about schools, recreation, population? Well, if so, here's the major question. What does he type into the search engines to answer these questions for his family? Well, let's make it easy. Let's say that we're planning on moving to Denver. If his family asked him about the schools there, he would probably type in Denver schools to find out more information about Denver schools. If recreation was important, he might type in Denver recreation. On the other hand, we said that possibly population was important, so that he might type in Denver population. Now let's take a look out of these searches. What do they all have in common? Exactly, the location. In real estate, your keyword phrase will almost always include the location. This is so important that we call it the primary keyword of the keyword phrase. Now, if your website just happened to use all three of these keyword phrases, can you see how popular your website would be? Okay, so now we know, or we have an idea for what a keyword phrase is. How do we now know what the best ones are? Well, again, let's go back to our target audience. Who are they, and what are they looking for? And realize they are not necessarily looking for you. In fact, they don't even want to talk to you until they know that you can offer them the best services possible. Remember that they're looking for highly rated websites of their research, and if they're looking for Denver luxury homes and they find your website, which immediately starts telling them about you and how wonderful you are, you've lost them. Okay, tip number 2, best keyword phrases. Let's think of your best keyword phrases in 2 separate phases. Phase 1 is the keyword discovery phase. Here, you're going to do such things as brainstorming, and you're going to think of all possible phrases that your prospect might type in to find you. Also, think of all the possible ways you want to be found. If you want to be found by luxury homes, then add that. If short sales is your specialty, add that. And include as many keywords as possible. Not that you're going to use them. You're not going to use them all. But the whole idea of brainstorming is to think up as many ideas as you can that will cause you to spin off other better ideas or better keyword phrases. Now let's take a look at phase 2. Phase 2 is the keyword evaluation phase. This is where you're going to whittle away the list down to a manageable few, just the best ones. Analyze the keywords that will provide the best value to you. Which ones, in other words, target precisely who you are, and the next area is probably the most important. Select the keyword phrase that is more specific and will bring more qualified traffic. If you want no leads and no traffic, try competing with the experts for things like Denver real estate. Well, how specific is Denver real estate? Not at all. Try keyword phrases such as Denver luxury homes, or homes for sale in the Denver area, or Denver area foreclosures and short sales. You may be surprised at what such a difference will make in getting a ton of traffic versus no traffic. And finally, you might want to try the new Google AdWords keyword tool. Well, it's not new, but they have gone through it and given a few tweaks to it, and it's working much better than it used to. It's a tool that will tell you a rough estimate of how many people requested certain searches that meet parameters that you can type in, like Denver real estate, Boston schools, and so forth. The best way to find it is to Google the term Google AdWords keyword tool. All right, tip number 3, optimizing for best keyword phrases. Let's look at an example of a class that I did in San Diego a short while ago. I asked the class, if you could have any keyword phrase to optimize for, what would it be? Of course, you probably know the answer. It was unanimous: San Diego real estate. We did a quick search for how many people had requested this keyword phrase, and what you're looking here is that we found 24,673 requests for that particular phrase in the last 30 days. And that's huge. At this point, the class all agreed that this was the best. I then asked them how many competitors this keyword phrase had. In other words, how many other websites had this same keyword phrase. Well, they thought for a moment and thought, well, maybe there would be, 4,000, since there were about that many agents, or 8,000. But maybe this was a trick sort of thing, and they guessed maybe they better go higher, like 25,000, and finally they rested on 50,000 people. Well, the actual answer? 23 million! Can you see at this point that you are a minnow in the ocean of websites? The RS factor is the results divided by the searches. It means that you've got almost a 1 in 1,000 chance of being found. The KEI is more important, as this is an algorithm that the search engines use to figure the importance of the phrase. Now I point out that they were close, but they missed it by just 2 letters. 2 important letters that you wouldn't think of adding to this particular keyword phrase. Have you got it yet? Well, here they are. The letters are CA. And the keyword phrase? San Diego CA real estate. And look how many searched for this phrase in the last 30 days. 87,790, which is almost 4 times as many as what you thought would be the best. But you might say, yes, but if there's this much that have requested it, then probably it's the most competitive as well. Well, guess what? Not so. There are only 8,540,000 competitors, or almost 1/3 as many. Now, focus on this point. Dramatically more requests and far fewer competitors makes for a perfectly optimized keyword phrase. Well, here is the complete list of keyword phrases that you get when you ask for all keyword phrases that include the words San Diego real estate. But why go after this huge competition when you can do much better by focusing on your more localized area? You see, very few people actually live in San Diego. Although it's a very large city, most people say they live in San Diego because people might not understand or know where, say, Encinitas was. Well, Encinitas is a suburb of San Diego. So why not go after Encinitas? So let's say that you're actually moving to Encinitas, a local suburb of San Diego. Most of the time, it's better to compete on the local level and look at the number of competitors. Far fewer. You'll get top rankings here much faster than trying to optimize with the major city of San Diego. Now there are 20 different keyword phrases here. There's actually 21, and we're going to graph them here, and we're going to isolate how much importance there is to each one. So you can see that the first and by far the most requested keyword phrase is Encinitas CA real estate. And note that the one that you wanted, Encinitas real estate, is not even the most requested by far. But that's not even the point. If we add up the number of requests below that of Encinitas real estate, the sum of these minor keywords are 3 times Encinitas real estate alone. And thus, we learn the key to making money with your website. It is not to try to get seen by the popular or super competitive keyword phrases, but by getting seen and or ranked by as many of the minor keyword phrases as possible. Tip number 4, focus then on the low volume search queries to increase visitors. Thus, we can explain the new marketplace in what has been called the long tail theory. Instead of products, we're going to be talking about keyword phrases. Websites are likely to receive most of their search engine visitors through a large variety of low-volume search queries instead of a handful of major keyword phrases. Therefore, focusing on developing the keyword phrases which receive lower volumes of search traffic will lead to an increase in the overall amount of visitors from search engines to your website. That is a major area you want to write down and keep in mind. Now, in this graphic, we can understand then that the fewer the number of competing websites and the more people that are requesting that particular keyword phrase will make it one of the keyword phrases you'll want to use. Now, search engines use various algorithms. One of the most common links among all search engines, as well as people that use them, is to find good keywords. The 2 most important areas for keyword phrases will be the URL or the website's address or domain name, and secondly, the title of your website. And we're going to be going over both of these. Let's start with the domain name. So now we must ask ourselves, if domain names are so important, how can they help me with my rankings? Well, let's see if we can think about this simply. Let's say you're walking along the street downtown and you walk by a building that says transmission repairs. Without even going into the building, would you have an idea what they did? What if the building said Naples Waterfront Luxury Condominiums? You get the idea. To the search engines, they figure that whatever you name your site should have something to do with what it's all about. In other words, it asks, is your site congruent with the domain name? Sadly, this is often not the case. So what is a domain name? Well, I think that you all can answer this question. If I were to show you this address bar, what would the domain name be? That's right, computercamp.net. That is our speaking website. Our website for SEO is WebStarted. And our current company is Strategic Storm for doing all the above. So let's take a look then at what a domain name is another way. Here's another thought. It is a way to identify computers on the Internet. Think of it as an assembly of Tinker Toys. Each is hooked up one to another by servers, mainframes, and website links. But what do you really need to know about domain names and how they can make you money? Finally, the last reason to have a domain name is that it portrays a professional image. It should go without saying that once you get your own domain name, that you should incorporate it into your email. Let's say that you don't, and maybe that you use a free email service. Furthermore, we'll say that while trying to get that $850,000 listing, you tell the seller, by the way, if you have any questions regarding any of the financials or anything, that you can always get a hold of me at randy@IamCheap.com. Well, isn't that what it tells the person if you're using a Hotmail or a Juno account? Well, I think so. So here is what we need to do. We need to look professionally, be professional, and think of a domain name that represents you. Let's go to our next area. Tip number 5. While we're on the topic of correcting your domain name, before you think all is lost because you have your own name as the domain name, as we do with Computer Camp and Strategic Storm, let me tell you that all is not lost. Here is what you need to think about. Let's take a look at your name and change it with just 3 simple steps. Here is an example where Michelle Granger has a domain name that is michellegranger.com. In other words, her name is her domain name. Well, this is actually nice to have on her business card, as people can remember it, and it appears personalized. The problem is that the search engines think that the website is all about Michelle Granger, and yet she wants to be about Pensacola, Florida. So here is how we fix it. Take notes. Here is how you can fix this in 3 easy steps. Step 1. Purchase new keyword phrase domain names. In other words, just go to GoDaddy and or any other domain name reseller and remember to select one that has your best keyword phrase in it, whether it's Boston Real Estate is Me or LuxuryDenverCondos.com or whatever you'd like to choose. Step 2 is to move your website to this new domain name. Note that I say move it, not copy it. If you copy it to the new domain name, you have done what the search engines call spamming. You do not want to spam the search engines. If you copy the site, what they call it is a mirrored website that can be considered as spamming the search engines. The third step, ask your ISP or Internet Service Provider for a redirector to the new domain name. This step is the same as when you move from one home to another and ask the post office to redirect any mail that comes in for you to another physical address. As an important side note, by the way, ask for a 301 redirector as this is what's called a permanent redirector that the search engines like a lot better. Now let's take a look at what we've done. Note that Michelle's original address was michellegranger.com. That is the one that is still on her business card. Her new domain name is PensacolaRealEstate.com, which is what we call a search engine friendly domain name, as it contains a good keyword phrase. But note that michellegranger.com is still the domain name on Michelle's card. What's going to happen when someone types in michellegranger.com? Well, here's what happens. It initially routes the person to michellegranger.com, but then there is a redirector there and immediately reroutes the link to PensacolaRealEstate.com, which is where the website is now located, and all of this happens in the flash of an instant. Finally, note that all of Michelle's internet provider mail is still in her same mailbox, which in this case is earthlink.net. That never changed. So that is the good news if you are using a current domain name that is not keyword rich and keyword sensitive for the search engines. Well, let's take a look at another area now. Tip number 6. Pick domain names that are keyword rich. There are several different types of domain names that we can pick. Let's take a look first at personal names. As you've seen from our previous discussion, a personal name's okay if it can be easily spelled. Brent Davis is fine, but Ivan Pinterkanitsky, well, .com is not so much. This is something that you probably can get, but shouldn't buy. How about descriptive names? Well, descriptive names are better, but don't quite hit the mark. ISellDenver.com is good and personal, but not a great keyword phrase. The second one here is definitely out because it contains the 4 cardinal must-nots. 1, it's too long. 2, it uses hyphens. Many people don't even understand the difference between a hyphen and an underscore. 3, it uses numbers. Numbers are cute for license plates, but not for domain names. And 4, it uses the org extension. You are typically a .com or a .net. If you have a nonprofit organization, then you can be an org. And finally, this is where we want to be, in the keyword-rich names. It was actually unbelievable to me that when I was teaching a class in Denver just a short time ago, these 2 domain names were still available. For $9 a year! That's right. Well, since then they've been purchased, but these are extremely good domain names, and you'll understand even better why this is in just a moment. Now let's take a look at doing a search on Google. Let's say that this search is Denver real estate. What pops up? Well, let's take a look at the 2 first SEO results. The first one is denverrealestateonline.com. Just as I mentioned to you, it has Denver real estate in the domain name. And what about the second one? Well, this is kind of an odd one, but it's Denver's plural real-estate.com. Well, see, it still uses the Denver real estate in the URL, and that's why one of the reasons it is so high up in the rankings. Let's take a look at another one, Boston real estate. Boston real estate is also a good example. Now, these are not always going to be the same, but always, if we look at everything being equal, which it never is, but good websites will always rise to the top if they use good domain names. Here we see that bostonrealestate.com is the very first one that comes in the SEO rankings. And the second one, well, this is interesting. It's boston.com/real estate. Note here, this is a good example of the fact that you do not need to have the words in the exact order. In fact, it can be used as a subdomain or a subdirectory and still get found high up in the search engines. Well, let's turn our attention now to page titles. Finally, the importance of page titles and the truly amazing power of page titles can have. One of the reasons that the page title is so important is that it further explains to the search engines what the page is all about. So let's take a look at building keyword phrases into your page title. After the domain name itself, page titles are the most important aspect in ranking. Search engine spiders read top to bottom and then left to right in your source code. Page titles, therefore, should be one of the first lines in the code, and the most effective keywords phrases should be first in the title. That is so important, and you will get so much mileage from the search engines just from that one tip. Do any search and look at the bolded words for those websites showing on the first page. So let's create a website title. Let's start by drawing a table 6 cells across by 6 cells down. In our first row, I'm going to put the primary keyword of Denver. In my second row, I'm going to put the words real estate. Why 2 words for 1 cell? Because Google understands that the term real estate is really one term. This also applies for city names, such as San Diego is one term, Salt Lake City is even one term, and so forth. You can prove it to yourself by typing these terms into Google. Then I'm going to be putting in the term listings, and then I'll add luxury, and then home, and finally sales. Now the main thing here is that we must be careful that the title must read properly, as if it doesn't read well, it will just be overlooked, both by the search engines as well as the viewers that are trying to read it, because it won't make sense. So if we look at our current title, we read from top to bottom along the right-hand side. We read Denver Real Estate Listings Luxury. Oops, what's wrong? Well, it doesn't read correctly. It needs something. It needs something very small. It needs something that we call a stop word. How about if we simply added the word and? Now it reads correctly, but more importantly, the word and is a stop word. What's a stop word? It's a word that is so commonly used on the internet that the search engines don't even index it. It is as if it weren't even there. So now our title reads Denver Real Estate Listings and Luxury Home Sales. How important is this? Well, what if someone had the title of Denver Luxury Home Sales and Listings? Guess what? If you wanted to duplicate this title without really duplicating it, you could make it yours by putting in just one word. Our Denver Luxury Home Sales and Listings, and still get the same impact as the other. This use of stop words works even better when used in domain names such as mydenverrealestate.com. When denverrealestate.com has been long gone and unbelievably expensive. So, you want to know now what the stop words are? I've got your attention. Here they are in one particular page. Oh, no. Don't even try to start to write them down. You can get these just by going to Google and Googling them by just putting in Google Stop Word List or Google Stop Word Index. If you want to get the stop words for Yahoo, then just go to Yahoo and type in Yahoo Stop Word List or Yahoo Stop Word Index. The same thing can be done with any search engine, and this will tell you what certain people think the particular stop words are for that particular search engine. Tip number 8. Think of page titles as anagrams for peak combinations. Now let's take a look at the impact our well-written yet short title has. Just with the few words that we put in, we now have the following exact matches to those typed in that are requests to the search engines. Because the search engines will mix and match the words around, they can be in any order. Plus, you'll note the impact of thinking about the stop words in advance. So, for example, exact matches to our title would be Denver, Denver Real Estate, Denver Listings, Denver Luxury Homes, Denver Home Sales, Listings in Denver, Denver Real Estate Listings, Denver Home Listings, Denver Luxury Listings, all home sales in Denver, and so forth and so on. These are all exact matches for our one perfect title, which is Denver Real Estate Listings and Luxury Home Sales. Note that even though this particular search term, all home sales in Denver, is not an exact match, it is because the terms all and in are what we call stop words. The words home, sales, and Denver are all in our title. Well, let's take a look then at what I call the SEO challenge. Here is my challenge to you. During my 27 years as a senior CRS instructor, we learned that education is not knowledge, not information. Education is action. So here's the easiest and most important thing that you can do. I want you to do any search that you want to, whether it's Denver real estate, Boston short sales, or real estate sales in the Boise area. Find the top real estate agent on the Google search and ask them how they got to the top. The only way that they can get there nowadays is through search engine optimization. This will simply prove it to you for yourself. Okay, now let's take a look at a real-world example of getting to the top in the search engines. Except this time, we're not going to compete in the more isolated and vertical market like real estate. We're going to go after the much more competitive market of real estate technology trainers and real estate search engine optimization professionals. First of all, we'll type in the generic term real estate technology training. Note that this search brought up over 55 million active websites that all had this keyword phrase in the website. However, only 10 made the first page of Google, and our speaking company, Computer Camp, made the top 2. But that's focused for our speaking company. What about our SEO company? Well, our next challenge was with our company WebStarter, which was our SEO company. We were only doing SEO for people's websites. The most sought after and targeted term for this company was going to be and is real estate SEO. So after several months of doing our own optimization, we had the following success. And you can check this out for yourself. Type into Google real estate SEO. You'll find that out of almost 23 million people that do this for a living, our SEO company, WebStarter, hit the first page and again the second position. Our new challenge is with our all-encompassing Internet Marketing Company Strategic Store. If you have a real estate internet marketing company, what do you think you'd want to be found under at the top of Google? That's right, real estate internet marketing and real estate websites. And that's what we are now doing. We are in the process of being found for Google for those particular areas, just like we have done it, as I've shown you here, that you can do your own analysis for. But now let's focus our challenge on real estate. I often get the comment that it's impossible to get to the top of these search engines like Google for the super competitive keyword phrases. Well, let's challenge that assumption. This time, we're going to type in one of the most competitive keyword phrases and in one of the largest and most competitive markets, Pittsburgh real estate. What do we get? Well, here's our client showing up third in the SEO rankings of Google. First page, third position. If you think that's just luck, let's type in something different. Let's try the next most competitive keyword phrase, Pittsburgh homes. This particular time, we see that, again, he comes up in second position for Pittsburgh homes. And this is what he has been for the last several years. Why? Because we've helped him with his search engine optimization, and every single month we rework his code to make sure that he stays on the top. Now, one more point about search engine optimization and driving prospects to your website. This is probably the best example that I can give you. Let's raise the bar for what I'm about to present to you. I'm about to present to you an idea of adding another website to your prospecting arsenal. Most of all, most of you will want to say, why would I want another website when I've already got one? Well, allow me to illustrate why. Briefly stated, two optimized websites are not twice as effective as one. Two optimized websites are exponentially more effective than one. Let's take a look at another of our clients, Barbara Reeves, who has been doing SEO with us for several years. Here's the power of SEO in doing multiple websites. Note that we type in the term Daphne Homes. She lives in Daphne, Alabama. Out of 1.3 million websites, Barbara is on the first page in the first position of Google Homes with her website, barbarareevesrealtor.com. But look at her other website with the same keyword phrase. She's in the third position of the first page of Google with a different website, barbarasellsdaphne.com. And this we have been able to do for Barbara over and over and over. Why? Because she has more than one website that we're able to get her placed on multiple pages. So why has Barbara been a client of ours for over 8 years? because she is one of those that has consistently made between $50,000 to $100,000 just from her website. It's funny, but I was talking with Barbara yesterday and asked her if her multiple websites were working well for her, and she said that on several occasions she would ask a prospect if she could help them, and they would respond saying, "No thanks, we're already working with another agent." And that other agent turns out to be Barbara, because they've subscribed to her email alerts from her other website. What would you pay to have this type of visibility? Don't take my word for it. Do your own searches and prove it to yourself. Multiple sites work. Barbara has 5 or more of them. Okay, so now let's put all this into perspective. What's the bottom line for the search engine optimization? To drive prospects to your website. I often tell people, what good is the best website in the world if nobody knows about it? We've talked about what it takes to get seen on the search engines. Now let's see what it takes to make your website compelling so that once your viewer gets there, they want to call or email you. So take notes. Internet marketing has been left to the elite. Top agents understand the 2 facets of Internet marketing. First, they have optimized websites, making them visible to their prospects on Google. Second, they have compelling websites that make the prospect want to stay and give their information. The vast majority of these agents use the Gold SEO plan. It puts their website at the top of Google. And just some of the features in the Gold SEO plan are blog site creation and optimization, social bookmarking site submissions, competitor research analysis, link building, plus 15 more optimization features. For years, this has been our most popular SEO plan at $35.95, but it's yours for a limited time if you mention this video for only $19.95. But that's not all. Here's another idea. Allow me to introduce the Power Site, the feature-perfect website, the first website to put the power of a 10-year study finding the 20 most compelling website features to get you leads leading to sales. The Power Site is the most feature-rich, compelling website on the market today. Some of the features in the Power Site include the Gold SEO plan. That alone is a $3,600 value. A professional rotating feature property slideshow. Subscribe to new listings or the new listing alerts. Video trailer inserts, plus 16 more compelling features. And because it includes the Gold SEO plan, it's our best value. And all of this for only $19.95. Call us today and ask to see available live sites and testimonials. For more information and to order, call 800-277-1316. Use your smartphone to click on the QR barcode shown or order online at ourpowersites.com. Use your credit card to secure these special offers. Don't delay. Call 800-277-1316 now. Plus, if you call today, not only can you get these special prices, but you can also get our bundled pricing for both products for only $29.95. This limited time offer will only be available for those who mention this video offer. Remember the words of Theodore Roosevelt. In any moment of decision, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing that you can do is nothing. Well, the decision is yours to make. We hope to hear from you, and have a great day.